First Lady Michelle Obama is speaking out for the first time about Melania Trump's plagiarizing her speech at the Republican convention.
And you're willing to work for them.
Melania Trump was so criticized for using what turned out to be a portion of your speech. But do you have any sympathy? Because there are people around her creating things, and, you know, I have some sympathy for her. Do you understand how that might be sympathetic for what happened to her?
Yeah, that was tough.
Donald Trump is the wrong president for our country. He has had more than enough time to prove that he can do the job, but he is clearly in over his head. He cannot meet this moment. He simply cannot be who we need him to be for us. It is what it is.
Michelle Obama's speech last night where she said that you're in over your head and the wrong president for the
country.
country.
She was over her head, and frankly, she should have made the speech live, which she didn't do. She taped it. No, I thought her speech was very divisive, and frankly, I wouldn't even be here if it weren't for Barack Obama. See, we're standing in the White House. I wouldn't be in the White House except for Barack Obama, because they did a bad job, Biden and Obama. And if they did a good job, I wouldn't be here.
In this era shaped by Trump's aggressive politics, many Americans have lost hope. We feel powerless, unheard, and exhausted. But every now and then a voice rises above the chaos. And this time, it was Michelle Obama with strength and grace. Michelle challenged Donald Trump's political legacy and his wife, Melania, in a takedown no one saw coming. She didn't just uncover Trump's closely guarded secrets. She dropped revelations that shook the foundation of his carefully built image. And as for Melania, the former First Lady, who once famously echoed Michelle's speech in an attempt to win America's heart, she was publicly overshadowed by the very woman she once tried to mirror. Michelle's response wasn't just a clapback, it was a powerful moment of truth.
I hope that you'll forgive me if I'm a little angry that we are indifferent to his erratic behavior, his obvious mental decline, his history as a convicted felon, a known slumlord, a predator found liable for sexual abuse, all of this, while we pick apart Kamala's answers from interviews that he doesn't even have the courage to do, y'all.
What came next was nothing less than humiliating. Trump, who always presents himself as a tough figure, reacted like a trapped teenager speaking in circles to reporters, shifting the blame and dragging Barack Obama's name back into the conversation like a scratched record stuck on repeat. His entire reaction felt like someone losing his grip not just on the headlines, but on the story he's tried to control for years. He attempted to dismiss the moment by calling Michelle harsh and unfair, but the damage had already been done. This wasn't just about a single speech, it was about being exposed. For once, Trump didn't hold the spotlight. Michelle turned it back on him, and under its glare, the flaws began to show.
My husband and I sadly know a little something about this. For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of two hardworking, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black. I want to know, who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
The real reason Trump reacted so aggressively wasn't just about politics, it was personal. He spent years creating an image of untouchable strength, convincing his supporters that every criticism was either fake news or some deep state conspiracy. But Michelle didn't confront him with gossip or speculation, she brought the truth. And truth is the one thing Trump has never been able to control. When people view him through Michelle's words, they don't see a bold leader, they see a man in disarray, backed into a corner, relying on slogans and emotional outbursts. That's why he couldn't stop lashing out, because in one composed and honest moment, Michelle made the noise fade and people began to truly hear, and what they heard was unsettling. The man campaigning for the presidency again might actually pose a greater threat now than he did the first time.
Thursday night, I'm doing it live. Unlike Michelle Obama, I'm doing it live. And it'll be Thursday night. It'll be at the White House on the South Lawn. Live, by the way, is always much more exciting than a tape, especially when she made the tape long the event. She didn't even have the accurate facts, and then they say, what a wonderful job. What was wonderful about it? It was a divisive speech, devoid of facts, and it wasn't current. It was old.
And while Trump continued to vent on social media, something else unfolded that should deeply concern his inner circle. Melania went completely silent. No tweets, no public appearances, not even a simple thank you to his loyal supporters. It was as if she disappeared entirely, and people noticed. After years of stiff photo ops and quiet speculation about her discomfort with Trump's constant controversies, her absence during one of his most vulnerable moments said more than words ever could. Let's not forget the last time she tried to follow in Michelle's footsteps. She was exposed for borrowing lines straight from Michelle's speech. So maybe this silence was intentional. Maybe even Melania understood that standing beside Trump now feels more like standing next to a ship that's going under. There's no such thing as a graceful exit anymore, only lifeboats.
These folks know that nothing this man says or does is funny in any way. So I hope you'll forgive me if I'm a little frustrated that some of us are choosing to ignore Donald Trump's gross incompetence while asking Kamala to dazzle us at every turn. So I am praying that those of us contemplating voting for Trump or not voting at all will snap out of whatever fog we are in.
But what truly unsettled Trump wasn't just the speech or the silence that followed. It was what happened next. Michelle's message didn't fade away, it caught fire. Commentators, voters, and even longtime undecided voices began repeating her warning. This is no longer about politics, it's about survival. And Trump, he reacted the way he always does when backed into a corner. He got louder. But louder doesn't mean wiser, louder doesn't mean stronger. And for the first time in a long while, louder wasn't enough. Michelle had shifted the entire narrative from will Trump win to how much harm could he cause if he does. That shift from fear to urgency is what pushed Trump into a spiral, because deep down, he realizes the landscape is changing, and this time, he's no longer the one in control of the script.
Whenever we look to this White House for some leadership or consolation or any semblance of steadiness, what we get instead is chaos, division, and a total and utter lack of empathy. They see people calling the police on folks minding their own business just because of the color of their skin. They see an entitlement that says only certain people belong here, that greed is good and winning is everything, because as long as you come out on top, it doesn't matter what happens to everyone else. And they see what happens when that lack of empathy is ginned up into outright disdain. They see our leaders labeling fellow citizens enemies of the state while emboldening torch-bearing white supremacists. They watch in horror as children are torn from their families and thrown into cages, and pepper spray and rubber bullets are used on peaceful protesters for a photo op. Sadly, this is the America that is on display for the next generation.
Trump has always taken pride in being seen as untouchable, the billionaire who could do no wrong, the political outsider who shattered every norm and still came out ahead. But Michelle Obama just changed the entire playbook. Her words weren't loud, yet they echoed like thunder through the political world. She didn't need to yell or throw insults. With grace and precision, she revealed not only the disorder of his presidency, but also the fear he sparks even among those closest to him. Her calm dismantling of his image made even some of his staunchest supporters pause and think. Why is it that a former First Lady speaks with more strength and clarity than the man who claims to lead the party? That contrast hit hard. And for the first time in years, Trump didn't look invincible, he looked cornered, challenged by someone who never had to sink to his level to make an impact.
I want a president who will teach our children that everyone in this country matters. A president who truly believes in the vision that our founders put forth all those years ago, that we are all created equal, each a beloved part of the great American story.
In her book, Mrs. Obama writes this about the speech.
We were now up against a bully, challenging the dignity of our country with practically his every utterance.
Crooked Hillary Clinton.
It was dignity I wanted to make an appeal for.
An appeal she would continue to make. Just weeks before that presidential election, a now infamous tape surfaced of Donald Trump talking about grabbing women by their private parts.
This is not normal. This is not politics as usual. This is disgraceful. It is intolerable.
Michelle's commentary didn't just call out Trump's actions, it dug into the deeper decay at the heart of his legacy. She spoke of how division, hatred, and fear had been turned into tools under his leadership, but what hit even harder was how she held up a mirror to the nation itself, forcing it to confront the part it played in allowing it all to happen. That's what truly shook Trump's base. This wasn't just about January 6th or inflammatory tweets, it was about a deeper sickness that had crept into every corner of the system. And when Michelle suggested that Trump's hold on power was never about public service, but about feeding his ego, it didn't come across as political drama. It sounded like a eulogy for democracy, one man's obsession dragging an entire nation to the brink. For those still clinging to the illusion of MAGA, it created a moment of mental conflict too loud to tune out. What made it worse was Trump's reaction. Instead of responding to the core of Michelle's message, the loss of empathy, truth, and integrity, he defaulted to attacks. Late-night rants on Truth Social, crude comments aimed at Michelle and Barack, the same old distractions, but none of it stuck. Why? Because Americans are exhausted. Exhausted by the chaos, the outrage machine, the endless act of playing the victim. When Trump called Michelle a bitter woman and mocked her intelligence, it didn't just miss the mark, it looked like a meltdown unfolding in real time. His words didn't harm her, they revealed just how deeply her steady, honest truth shook him, because when someone like Michelle Obama speaks out and the world listens, it's not just a bad headline, it's a blow to the legacy he's been trying to protect.
When we close out the noise and the fear and truly open our hearts, we know that what's going on in this country is just not right. This is not who we want to be.
Did you see Barack Hussein Obama last night? Take little shots. He was taking shots at your president, and so was Michelle. You know, they always say, sure, please stick to policy, don't get personal. And yet they're getting personal all night long, these people. Do I still have to stick to policy?
Behind the scenes, Trump's inner circle is reportedly in disarray. Advisors are rushing to contain the fallout from Michelle's viral speech. Strategists are quietly leaking signs of panic to the media, and even some top GOP donors are pulling back, afraid that continuing to support Trump after such a public blow might leave a permanent mark on their reputations. This isn't just about the risk of losing in 2024, it's about the possibility of the Trump brand becoming toxic. Michelle didn't just deliver criticism, she may have awakened a long-buried conscience within the political elite. Now, a steady wave of denouncements and strategic distancing is starting to take shape. For the first time, the Republican establishment is beginning to understand that aligning with Trump may no longer be politically or historically survivable. What's even more unsettling is what Michelle managed to suggest without ever saying it outright. She didn't accuse Trump of treason or authoritarianism, but her words painted a portrait far more damaging than any legal accusation could. She spoke of moral decay, of leaders who twist the truth for personal power, of citizens manipulated through fear and deception. It was a brilliant exercise in political storytelling, and each person listening could easily connect the dots. Trump wasn't simply being criticized, he was being judged in the public's moral court. And the part that likely haunts him the most? Michelle did all of it without ever once saying his name. That's power, that's narrative control. And that kind of message doesn't vanish, and in news cycle it lingers and shapes the course of elections.
We don't have footage of the moment Trump heard Michelle Obama say it is what it is, but I imagine it resembled something like this. That's right. Everyone is saying the former First Lady stole the night. I'm actually worried the speech might have backfired for Biden, because right after, everyone with the ballot wrote in Michelle Obama. Well, this morning, while at an event for the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, Trump was asked about Michelle Obama's speech, and here's what he had to say. Listen to this.
She said that you're in over your head and the wrong president
Yeah,
for the
no,
country.
she was over her head.
Oh, yeah. That's a good comeback. Trump said you're in over your head. That was her insult against you. You can't use her insult. Every third grader who can't go back to school knows you can't do that.
Now, this is where things start to look apocalyptic for Team Trump. While his base continues to rally around familiar chants and recycled outrage, his opposition is quietly building something far more strategic, something he can't quite grasp. It's not just online backlash or protest noise. It's a calculated, unified, and legally grounded effort. This time, it's not just angry voices on social media. It's seasoned political operatives, former loyalists who've switched sides, and even high-level Republicans who now see Trump as a growing threat to the stability of the entire American political system. The most alarming part, Trump senses. It's that paranoia playing out in public isn't just a personality quirk anymore, it's turning into a survival reflex. Behind the scenes, he's reportedly spiraling, glued to endless news loops and ranting that everyone's coming for him. And maybe this time, he's not wrong. Maybe they are, and maybe this time, they won't fail.
For Mrs. Obama, the stakes could not have been higher. She writes,
I articulated my rage and my fear, along with my faith that with this election, Americans understood the true nature of what they were choosing between.
What you haven't said before, you said, I will always wonder about what led so many, women in particular, to reject an exceptionally qualified female candidate and instead choose a misogynist as their president. Those are powerful words.
I implored people to focus and to think about what it takes to be commander-in-chief. It's amazing to me that we still have to tell people about the importance of voting.
The Michelle Obama clip wasn't just a one-time warning, it was the opening move. Because right after her calm but cutting remarks, the Lincoln Project launched a campaign that set social media ablaze. Their message was simple and direct: America tried the chaos experiment and it failed. The timing was no accident. It felt as if Michelle gave the quiet signal, and suddenly, political sharpshooters took their positions and opened fire. For once, Trump couldn't tell where the pressure was coming from. Was it the media, the legal system, his own party? He had no idea. And that uncertainty is what truly shook him. Because when Trump can't pinpoint the enemy, he lashes out at everyone. That's when he begins to spiral on live television, exactly the kind of public unraveling these carefully timed attacks were designed to trigger. Asterisk.
Now, President Trump is up and tweeting directly at the former First Lady. Here's what he tweeted moments ago. Somebody please explain to Michelle Obama that Donald Trump would not be here in the beautiful White House if it weren't for the job done by your husband, Barack Obama. Biden was merely an afterthought. Now, it is worth noting that polls show Michelle Obama is one of the most popular political figures in the country, Savannah.
Inside Mar-a-Lago, the atmosphere has shifted. Those still remaining in Trump's inner circle are reportedly split. Some are urging him to double down on his grievance-fueled politics, while others are quietly recommending a graceful exit before things spiral further. But here's the catch: Trump doesn't do exits. Escalation is the only move he knows, and in that growing desperation, he's begun lashing out at the very institutions that once supported him. Judges, longtime allies, even Fox News have become targets. It's like watching someone destroy their own escape route while trying to outrun a fire. What's even more unsettling is that Trump doesn't see this unraveling as a result of any wrongdoing in his mind. He's not losing because of his actions, he's being punished because of his influence. And that kind of belief isn't just political anymore, it's dangerous.
First Lady Michelle Obama is speaking out for the first time about Melania Trump's plagiarizing her speech at the Republican convention.
And your willingness to work for them.
Melania Trump was so criticized for using what turned out to be a portion of your speech. But do you have any sympathy? Because there are people around her creating things, and, you know, I have some sympathy for her. Do you understand how that might be sympathetic for what happened to her?
Yeah, that was tough.
Michelle was kind of coy when late show host Stephen Colbert brought it up.
Do you have any sympathy for the people who have to go there and stand by the person running for president?
No, not really.
No?
No, because if, you have to be, in it. If you're in it, and if you don't agree, you should have agreed before they ran.
She also appeared in this hilarious sketch.
If you got stuck on a desert island with one famous person, who'd you pick?
Oh, I'd pick the president. How about you?
Beyonce.
Meanwhile, Michelle Obama's words have spread far beyond that one interview clip. Her composed, thoughtful takedown of Trump's chaos machine has been clipped, translated, and shared across every major platform. Millions have seen it not just as commentary, but as a rallying cry. Her steady voice, set against Trump's whirlwind of outrage, landed like a warning bell in a democracy on shaky ground. And how does Trump respond? He jumps online and calls her bitter, irrelevant, and jealous. Jealous of what? Being indicted, being impeached twice. Being trapped in a political nightmare of his own creation. Michelle's silence after those attacks spoke louder than any comeback ever could, because when a queen refuses to answer a clown, the world already knows who's winning, asterisk.
The president told me to stop whining. But I really have to say, the media is even more biased this year than ever before. Ever. You want the proof? Michelle Obama gives a speech, and everyone loves it. It's fantastic. They think she's absolutely great. My wife, Melania, gives the exact same speech. And people get on her case. And I don't get it. I don't know why. And it wasn't her fault. Stand up, Melania. Come on. She took a lot of abuse. Oh, I'm in trouble when I go home tonight. She didn't know about that one. Am I okay? I said, okay. Cardinal, please speak to her.
And that's the twist Trump never saw coming. The more he lashes out, the smaller he appears. The more the Obamas remain calm and composed, the stronger their influence becomes. Michelle doesn't need to raise her voice to be heard because now, America is finally paying attention. Every unfiltered Trump rant feels like a desperate man shouting into nothing. Every courtroom sketch, every mugshot, every public outburst adds to an image he can't edit or spin away. The empire is unraveling from the inside, and for the first time, the idea of an ending doesn't feel like wishful thinking or partisan fantasy. It feels real, it feels near, and maybe, just maybe, it's already underway.